For Damien and Kezia Campbell, Negril was supposed to be all of that and more. It was supposed to be their honeymoon. But what began as the most romantic week of their lives ended in unthinkable violence, in blood, in grief, in a tragedy so shocking that it shook an entire community and left a young bride forever changed. This is their story. Damien Campbell was the kind of man people noticed when he walked into a room. 32 years old, born and raised in the hills of St. Elizabeth, Jamaica, a parish known for its hard-working people and its quiet, stubborn pride. His friends described him as charismatic, the life of any gathering, the man who would give you his last dollar and laugh about it. He worked construction during the week and played dominoes on Friday nights. He loved jerk chicken, dancehall music, and Manchester United, even though they broke his heart more often than not. But above all else, Damien loved Kezia. Kezia Brown, now Kezia Campbell, had grown up just 2 parishes over in Manchester. She was a nurse at a public health clinic, quiet in the way that still waters are quiet, thoughtful, observant. People who knew her said she had a laugh that could fill a whole yard, that when she loved you, you felt it in the way she looked at you, like you were the only person in the world who mattered. The two of them had been together for 4 years before Damien got down on one knee at a family cookout last August. In front of his mother, her mother, their cousins, their friends, everyone who mattered. He pulled out a ring he had been saving for since the year before. Simple. Gold. A small diamond that caught the light just right. She said yes before he even finished asking. The wedding took place on a warm Saturday in March, in a small church outside Mandeville. Nothing extravagant. Just family, friends, and the two of them. Kezia wore white. Damien wore a suit he had ironed 3 times because he kept finding creases. Her nieces were flower girls. His best man nearly forgot the rings. It was, by all accounts, a perfect day. And now, 1 week later, they were in Negril. Their honeymoon had been Damien's idea. He had been planning it in secret for months. He'd read reviews, compared prices, called a cousin who worked at a hotel in the area. He wanted it to be special. He wanted Kezia to feel, even for just a few days, like the whole world was built for her. They checked into a mid-range resort just off West End Road on a Sunday afternoon. Their room had a small balcony that looked out over the water. Kezia took a video of it immediately and sent it to her mother with a row of heart emojis. They were happy. Completely, genuinely happy. No one could have known what was coming. The first few days were everything they had dreamed of. They slept in late, ate breakfast on the beach, rented a small boat one afternoon just to float out into the water and watch the shoreline from a distance. Kezia tried jerk lobster for the first time and declared it the best thing she had ever eaten. Damien teased her about it for 2 days. They were, by all appearances, just another young Jamaican couple enjoying the island's most famous stretch of coastline. But Negril, for all its beauty, carries shadows. Like many of Jamaica's tourist destinations, Negril sits at the intersection of paradise and poverty. The cliffside bars and the luxury villas exist alongside communities that have been left behind by the tourism economy, communities where unemployment is high, where opportunity is scarce, and where criminal networks have, in some pockets, filled the vacuum. This is not a story about Negril as a dangerous place. Hundreds of thousands of people visit every year without incident. Most Jamaicans who live and work there are proud of their community and horrified by crime. But this is a story about what can happen when someone in the wrong place at the wrong time crosses paths with the wrong people. On Wednesday night, 3 days into the honeymoon, Damien and Kezia decided to venture outside the resort. They had heard about a local bar, just a short drive from the hotel, that was known among residents for its atmosphere, its music, and its authenticity. Not a tourist trap. Real food, real music, the kind of place locals go when they want to enjoy their own island. Damien was excited. He was a man who liked meeting people. He liked conversation, storytelling, the particular joy of sitting at a bar in your own country and feeling at home. Kezia was a little more hesitant. Not because she was afraid, but because she was tired. She had gotten a bit of sunburn that afternoon and her shoulders were aching. But Damien's enthusiasm was contagious, and they were on their honeymoon, and the night was warm and beautiful. So they went. They arrived at the bar around 9 o'clock that evening. The bar was everything Damien had expected. Loud music, warm lights strung between trees, plastic chairs and wooden tables crowded together in a yard, the smell of smoke and seasoning in the air, the sound of laughter underneath the bass. They found a table near the back and ordered food. Damien got a red stripe, Kezia got a rum punch. They sat close together, Kezia's head occasionally resting on Damien's shoulder. They danced at one point, just the two of them, right there by their table, not caring who was watching. By most accounts, from people who were there that night and later spoke about what they saw, the couple seemed happy, peaceful, completely absorbed in each other. But sometime around 11 o'clock, something shifted. According to witness accounts gathered in the aftermath, a confrontation began outside the bar, in the yard near the gate. The details of how it started remain disputed. Some say it was a dispute over something trivial. Others suggest that Damien, in his characteristic way, had stepped in when he saw a situation developing that made him uncomfortable. What is known is this: words were exchanged, voices were raised, and within minutes, a situation that might have ended with an argument, the kind of argument that gets forgotten by morning, escalated into something no one could take back. A weapon appeared. The details of exactly what happened in those moments are difficult to piece together cleanly. Witnesses scattered. People ran. The music stopped. The lights in the yard felt suddenly very different. Not warm anymore. Harsh. Exposing. Damien Campbell was struck multiple times. He fell. Kezia was right there when it happened. She had followed him outside when she sensed the tension rising. She was standing close enough to see everything. Close enough to reach him within seconds of him going down. The image of a bride, still in the first week of her marriage, kneeling on the ground beside her husband, screaming for help in a bar yard in Negril in the middle of the night. It is not the kind of image that ever fully leaves you. Emergency services were called. Damien was transported to a nearby medical facility. The wounds he had sustained were severe. He did not survive. Damien Campbell, 32 years old, newly married, a man who had saved for a ring, ironed his wedding suit 3 times, and spent months planning a honeymoon so his wife could feel like the world was built for her. Gone. On the 3rd night of his honeymoon, Kezia was treated for shock. Family members were contacted. Within hours, what was supposed to be a week of romance and laughter had become a nightmare of police statements, phone calls to crying relatives, and the devastating task of making arrangements to bring her husband's body home. The resort staff, to their credit, rallied around her. The Jamaican police launched an investigation. The local community, many of whom were appalled and heartbroken by what had occurred, cooperated with authorities. In the days that followed, details began to emerge. Suspects were identified. Witnesses came forward. The incident, as is often the case with crimes that occur in tourist areas, attracted significant attention from Jamaican media. The story spread quickly: a honeymoon couple, a husband killed, a bride left behind. The grief of it was incomprehensible to many people who heard it. What had happened was not a random act of faceless violence. It had a face. It had a context. It had a series of moments that, replayed in the mind of everyone who knew Damien and Kezia, all seemed to point to a different outcome. One where he walks back to the table, they finish their drinks, and they go back to the hotel and fall asleep with the sound of the ocean outside. That world existed, right up until the moment it didn't. In the days after Damien's death, his family and friends gathered to remember him. His mother, Miss Yvette, described her son as a man who had always been full of life. She said he had been working on building a house, not for himself, but so that she would have somewhere comfortable to spend her old age. She said he used to call her every Sunday without fail. She said she didn't know yet how to stop expecting the phone to ring. His best man, the one who had almost forgotten the rings, gave an interview to a local radio station. He talked about the Damien he knew. Loyal, hardworking, funny in that way where he made the joke and then laughed harder at it than anyone else. He said Damien had texted him a photo from the honeymoon. Just the view from the hotel balcony, the water, the sky. The caption had simply said, "Life good, Bretta. Life good." 2 days before it was taken from him. Kezia returned to Manchester. She was surrounded by family. She took leave from her nursing job. Those who were close to her said she was not the kind of person to fall apart publicly. She was a caretaker by nature, trained to keep functioning even when things were terrible. But those who knew her well said that the silence she carried after coming home was different from any silence she had ever carried before. She had gone to Negril as a wife. She came home a widow. She was 29 years old. In the weeks following Damien's death, the Jamaican police made arrests in connection with the killing. The case moved through the early stages of the legal system. Details of the investigation were kept largely out of the public domain while proceedings were ongoing. Community members in the Negril area held a brief vigil near the location of the incident. Local leaders called for renewed efforts to address crime in tourist areas. The Jamaica Tourist Board issued statements. Politicians made comments about safety and accountability. And then, as it often goes with these stories, the news cycle moved on. New headlines replaced the old ones. The names of Damien and Kezia Campbell faded from the front pages and the social media timelines. The world, with its relentless momentum, moved forward. But for the people who loved Damien, his mother waiting for a phone call that would never come, his best man scrolling back to that photo of the balcony and the blue water and the caption "Life Good, Bretta." The world had not moved forward. It had simply stopped. This is the part of these stories that doesn't make the news very often. The legal proceedings are covered. The suspects are named. The sentences, when they come, are reported. But the quiet devastation? The Sunday mornings without a phone call? The empty chair at a dinner table? The way a woman learns to say the word husband in the past tense? That part is mostly invisible. Carried privately. Carried permanently. Damien's house, the one he had been working on for his mother, was never finished. Every year, Jamaica welcomes millions of visitors to its shores. The island's people are among the warmest, most vibrant, most resilient in the world. The culture, the music, the food, the language, the spirit, is a gift that Jamaica has given the entire world. And yet, Jamaica also grapples with a level of violent crime that causes immeasurable suffering. Not primarily to tourists, but to Jamaicans themselves. People like Damien Campbell. Working men and women, young people, families, ordinary people living ordinary lives who encounter extraordinary violence at the moments they least expect it. This is not a story about a dangerous island. It is a story about a dangerous world, and about one man and one woman, and what they lost on what was supposed to be the most beautiful week of their lives. It is a story about how quickly everything can change, about how a moment of confrontation, something that might have been nothing, something that in a different universe plays out as an argument and nothing more, can become the last moment.